Yeah, lucky number 26. Here's our man who used to wear that number, the great Sully. How are you, Sul?
Hello, Marty. Hello, David.
G'day, Sul.
Boys?
What's going on with your competition? It's very lopsided and boring. Look at these games, 28-10, 42-18, 46-24, 44-0. Why don't you get some close games?
Oh, you're being silly, Marty. You're being silly.
Come and join the AFL.
Oh, mate, I couldn't believe that game on Friday night.
Oh.
The Titans have been going so well. The Sharks looked like they were decimated in the halves. The hooker goes to 7 and says, just follow me, boys. Unbelievable performance from the Sharks up there. As I say, I work on the theory. It's because the Sharks hadn't lost on the Gold Coast since 2017. I reckon the coaches say, right, boys, if we win, we go out. If we don't, you stay in your hotel room.
Yeah.
They've had a wonderful weekend on the Gold Coast.
You've got to give them incentive. It works.
Well, I tell you what, it's a good incentive, but yeah, it's what they needed, and really cemented that that top 4 run for them, didn't it? Because that was the danger, them dropping out of it. And I tell you what, having the results over the weekend really, shaped that 8, in particular the top 4 now, I think.
I think the other rule that they brought in for the Sharks is if you get over the line and score a try, no having to reach for the wallet to pay for drinks, because they had 7 separate try scorers on the way through, and they got heavily involved. It was an absolute rout from the get-go. 4 minutes, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer was over in the 4th minute. He went bang. And then Stone Street, Ramian, Hazelton, Talakai, Stone Street again, Nakora and Williams. Just an absolute drubbing, and there was no response from the Titans, who didn't get off the mark.
No, and it's an interesting one because it's probably what we needed to see from the Sharks because, as I said, and I said to the boys and Marty Thursday and Friday, the last 2.5 months, they were only 3 wins from 9, and they hadn't really made a statement. If that's their statement game, well done, because they needed to do it moving forward.
Yeah, I want to see them do it against the Storm and the Panthers and teams like that before I get too carried away with the Sharkies. They're good at building up on the out of the 8 teams.
I tell you that, though, Friday night, I'm still shaking my head. This is why champion sides win premierships, isn't it? And we talk about teams. How can you be down by, they were down 14 with 10 to go. The Penrith Panthers, I thought, was shot. The bottom line is, I think 99% of us probably thought they can't win this. They score in the 73rd, the 75th, the 76th, and then poor old Gutho, Clint Gutherson, the legend he is at Parramatta, has the opportunity to lock it up, but just shanks one to the left. But, mate, this was an incredible win. I thought the Eels had them, but the Panthers, so important when you're on the back wall to get off it.
Oh, big style. And I mean, to score 3 tries in the space of 3 minutes, this is just power. This is power rugby at its very, very best. To'o started it, Taruva, Targo. They're a side, though, Sal, that they've been there and done it. The belief within this playing group, they honestly believe that they can come from almost any position to win games of rugby, and that was on show there on Friday night.
Absolutely. Absolutely spot on, mate. And that's what wins your comps, doesn't it? It just galvanises it for you. So, yeah, when they can do that, as I said, when backs to the wall, they get off the back wall. That's the main thing.
What about the performance of the Broncos? Where did that come? I think they scored 36 points straight, didn't they? They were 18-6 down and just turned it around on the Cowboys. You didn't see this one coming, nor did I.
Yeah, but I tell you what, it's what we get. And at the end of the day, as you said, it was 18-12 at half time.
Yep.
The Cowboys leading, and all of a sudden they score 30 unanswered points in the second half. But it's this Cowboys thing where we haven't seen them complete a match for 80 minutes this year. And in front of their home fans, massive crowd, sellout crowd again. Geez, they've had some good games up there the last month. But, mate, the opportunity to really grab that 2 points and make a run for the top 4, and they just... totally obliterated by the Broncos. We've been waiting for the Broncos. Let's not beat around the bush. We've been waiting for them to do something this last 4 weeks, but not like that. And once again, the Cowboys fans let down, in my opinion. So, Broncos. The mathematicians tell me they can still make the 8, and you never know with these results that we've seen over. That's why it's such a massive game, which we'll have a look at in a minute for the Dolphins today. But, yeah, big win for the Broncos. And Toddy Payton and the Cowboys, they'll be bitterly disappointed this morning, boys.
Yeah, fans of the boys with horns would be a bit of disappointment with them as well. So Raiders going down 46-24 to the Manly Sea Eagles, and that has the Sea Eagles remaining in the top 8. But the opportunity was there for Canberra to try and work their way back into contention, but Manly far too good.
Yeah, that's right. 18-12 at half time, Manly led, and an opportunity. It was a big day there yesterday for Josh Papali'i, and you know, I know it was his 301st, but it was the home ground game. But this Manly side, boys, they're a big, big pack. And when they get a roll on, the likes of Trbojevic and Tommy Talau again, young Hopper out there, you know, they score points. And Tommy Trbojevic, he loves scoring a try against the Raiders. Anthony Seabold will be happy with that second half performance, especially coming off the bye. You know, you're a little bit rusty in that first 40, and they really clicked into gear. So, yeah, Manly upwards and onwards to make their... Well, they'll finish in the 8, no doubt about it. They'll play finals footy.
Okay, let's have a look at these two today and get $1. The Dolphins, 142. Warriors, 288. 7.5's the line. And the Knights played the second game. They're $1.29. The Tigers, 360 line. They're 10.5.
Yeah, well, I just said then, this is a massive game for the Dolphins, isn't it? You know, the last 2 months has been pretty tough for them. They've lost games. They were in the battle. The last 3 games in particular, they were into the battle. So, you know, they go to Suncorp. The Warriors haven't been that good at Suncorp this year, but massive game. They come back from Perth. We know the Dolphins, I think they can get it done. But I don't think they'll smash the Warriors as such. And this next game, West Tigers have been all right the last couple of weeks. And so they've been competitive. We know the Knights were good last week against the Panthers, really, really pushed them. So I'm going to go the Dolphins and the Knights, but I'm not going to go silly with it. I think it'll be a bit closer. So let's go the Dolphins, 1-12, into the Knights, 1-12, $10.72, Marty and Shorty. I don't mind that.
Double figures.
And then for our Thursday, boys, we're still alive with the 2 fullbacks. I've gone the hammer for the Dolphins into Ponga for the Knights, so we're still alive there. We've got Pappenhausen and Trbojevic early. We just need those 2. So let's go Herbie Farnworth. I like Herbie. Into Dane Gagai. So a centre's play, and we'll get $5.06 for that.
Farnsworth into Gagai for the anytime try scorer players for this Sunday. I don't mind that. Herbie's been pretty good to us, the old love bug on the way through.
Yep, he certainly has, but he's been a bit quiet the last 4 or 5 weeks, but I watched him last week, and it's not from lack of effort. He really does train hard off the field when he's not playing. So, yeah, he has been good to us, and let's see. I think there'll be 2 good games of footy today. Beautifully
done, Sol. We'll listen in on Thursday, chat again on Friday Drive. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks, lads. Very good.
James Sully Sullivan there. Hit that Retrovision text line 0427 789 571. Tom Charlton. He'll be coming up next. Co-trainer with John O'Shea. We saw Big Shortte win the Missile Stakes yesterday, so Tom will be a very special guest. Looking forward to catching up with him. And then, of course, Chris Nelson and Racetrack Ralphy will round out this hour. So that's what's ahead of us. Shorty overnight, 2 silvers. Jessica Hull, second in the 1500 to Faith Kipyagan, the legend. And the Stingers went down to Spain 11-9, but they get up on the silver medal. So that's a terrific effort as well. Tom Charlton's our next guest.
Hardie Glamour's got it all to do. Much better. Spins in front by 2 on the face. Then Semyon travelling up well. Now Schwartz has popped the question and starting to put in good strides. Much better at the 2.25, led by 2. Schwartz is closing in hard the outside, and she's an A-lister making ground. Schwartz races up. She's an A-lister the inside. Schwartz a half in front to she's an A-lister. Hardie Glamour late. Schwartz begging for the post. Found it. Schwartz just won the Missile Stakes from the fast finishing Hardie Glamour, and she's an A-lister third.
He's always been a horse with a lot of promise, hasn't he, Schwartz? Yes. And joining us to talk about it is Tom Charlton, co-trainer. Hi, Tom.
Good morning.
Marty and Shorty with you over here in the West. Must have been a relief to get him back and get a win on the board.
It was pleasing. It was a big effort. Not everything went right for him in the run, and ended up being a tough test. And just off the one trial, probably just felt the pinch late, but really commendable effort in sort of decent enough company.
Absolutely, yeah. There were some nice types going around. Talk us through confidence levels going into the race. Obviously, barrier 11 can sometimes pose some problems, but the run itself ended up quite positive for Schwartz.
Yeah, I think probably we would have rather 11 than barrier 1, if that makes sense. He's a horse who just enjoys finding that rhythm and comfort zone, and James knows that, and he was sort of happy to sit deep but have circumstances to suit. So we were confident going in that he was ready to perform well, with improvement to come, but he was forward enough to win, and I guess that showed.
Tough run that didn't hurt him too much.
No, he actually pulled up okay. We've seen him this morning. He looks well. So it was a tough enough run though. You won't be going back to races in the next sort of couple of weeks, sort of options for 3 weeks and beyond. So we haven't firmed any of those plans up. We'll just sort of sit back in the next few days, assess the horse, and sort of make the right call going forward, I think.
Absolutely. It's. I guess that's a challenging part of it all too, Tom, as well. When you get a horse up and going nice and early, heading into the spring, it's a matter of timing the runs from that point onwards and handpicking the different races on the way through. But the advantage you have is obviously when other horses come in and they're looking for races deeper into the campaign, you can sometimes nick a couple of these early ones. Exactly.
There's races in 2 states for him that are possibilities. We're obviously keen to try and target a Group 1. So, again, there'll be opportunities to do that over the coming months.
Yes, well, he almost run 1,400 metres there yesterday, didn't he, when you think about it? So a 1,400-metre next run. Would a Mimsy be sort of in the program somewhere along the line?
Possible, yeah. Sort of before the race yesterday, it's definitely a possibility. It's obviously up in grade, but 1,400 round Caulfield is a scenario that we think would suit him very well. So it's a possibility for sure. We just have penciled it in, but haven't penned anything in at this stage.
All right. Well, it was a pretty successful afternoon overall as well, landing a double with a victory earlier on in the day. Awesome Wonder was a really nice performance. The 6-year-old Galilee mare was really good with Jet Stanley aboard, claiming the 2 kilos. She's been a nice mare on the way through, and this is a win, I'm sure, has laid the foundations hopefully for some more success in the coming weeks.
Absolutely. She's been very consistent. Just probably hasn't quite had her things go away this preparation. And yesterday, things most definitely did go her way. Young Jack gave her a lovely ride and made every right decision throughout the race and presented. And she was strong late. And it was a good win. And it looks like it's probably the same grade race in 2 weeks, which we can have another crack at.
Since joining John O'Shea Trading Partnership, is this your first group win with Schwartz?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think first runner. I guess I don't think there's been any other stakes races. So yeah, it was good timing. I guess just
instant.
Very grateful for the opportunity. Yeah, really, and the way it's presented and the horse and connection. So. It worked out well. But
instant success. Tom, tell us a little bit about how this came about, the partnership. Obviously, John O'Shea, one of the most highly regarded and respected trainers in the land. The opportunity to team up with him as a training combination, I'm sure, is not lost on you as to what an incredible opportunity it is, and what a great learning opportunity as well to be with such a successful operation and such a successful trainer. Tell us a little bit how it all came about and what John's like to work with day in, day out.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very lucky. I was fortunate enough to start working for him about 5.5 years ago now. and over time, sort of, grew in roles and earned his respect, and formed a good relationship. And then sort of about a year ago, I just had a friendly conversation about, I was thinking about starting to go training, and he sort of presented this idea and sort of come together, and very grateful, as you say. He's such a respected man and trainer. So very fortunate, and he's fantastic to work for, very fair, honest, and just class act. So just very sort of humbled, to be honest.
Have you heard from the team back in England, Roger and Harry? Did they send a congratulations to you?
Yeah, they absolutely. Dad's always watching, so that's nice. I hope he gets plenty of enjoyment from that.
Yep, certainly will do. There'll be some nice horses to be following, I'm sure, out of the barn in the upcoming weeks and months, and obviously now that next phase, the next 8 to 10 weeks, it's the pinnacle of world racing across here in Australia. You've got big Group 1s to look forward to. You're associated with some big name horses, with another outstanding trainer in the partnership. You must be getting up in the mornings with a bit of a spring in your step, Tom. The next 8 to 10 weeks, the race meetings that you'll be attending with legitimate live hopes. It's what you're involved in the industry for, and it's what a lot of people strive to be involved in the industry for.
Absolutely. It's coming into a good time. We've got some decent ammunition, and hopefully we can get some more over the coming seasons. We're not. We want to continue to develop that sort of team and organisation. So plenty to work towards going forward. But let's hope we can pick up a nice prize at some point throughout the spring. It'd be excellent.
Can you name some of that ammunition? Who are some of the stars we can follow?
I think, the obvious one's linebacker, who sort of, has a pretty conventional route, sort of Golden Rose, Caulfield Guineas and Spring Champion or Cox Plate sort of thing, hopefully. And then, got some sort of lightly raced 3-year-old fillies, sort of Snow and May. So they've got more territories, their potential to step up into pattern class if they came up well and perform well early on. A couple of sort of maybe a potential Derby horse, and a horse like King's Thunder, maybe a Spring Champion sort of horse.
Yeah.
He ran on debut last week. He ran second. We got what else do we have?
Athabascan's an interesting horse.
Athabascan, absolutely. He'll try and hit the Metrop third up, and then he'll head south and with a run in between the Melbourne Cup. So another exciting horse. And then obviously some of the babies now coming through. So I'm probably missing a few names there, but
that'll do.
There's some lightly raced horses that hopefully just need to step up, and if they do, then they'll be running some nice races.
Sure they will. It's almost an odd couple, isn't it? You and John O'Shea, eloquent, well-spoken Englishman, and old grumpy, gruff John O'Shea. You just mellow him out a bit, you soften him up a bit.
Well, I don't know about that. I guess, I don't know what to comment on that.
bit of the yin and a bit of the yang.
Mate, we know him well. He's a good mate of ours over here. Thanks for coming on, Tom. All the best and continued success.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Cheers, Tom.
There he is, Tom Charlton. We need to get to a break.
Racing and sport from different angles. You're listening to The Aftermath on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Yes, and Chris Nelson joins us. Very good morning.
Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Shorty.
Good morning, Chris. Great to have your company. Another really busy day of racing, but we're just talking off air. This incredible season of AFL football, and Marty and I were talking about it. I'm in a state of mild depression over the form of my football side at the moment, and we're talking about how due I was to Freo, still looking for their first ever premiership, of course, and we talked about how long should you be really waiting? And, of course, Richmond were known as ninthman for a very long period of time. They were well known for having that ultra-torturous period where it would look like they're about to play finals and then they just find a way to run ninth year in, year out. And yet your patience was rewarded with 3 premierships in recent years. Sure, it's looking like being tough times for a little while, but the question for me as a long-tortured fan is the wait worth it when you eventually do get that time in the sunshine, Chris?
100 million %, Shorty. It was so worth it. It was, and look, you probably know, you remember, but that 3 years or 4 years where we basically won the 3 flags, it was just great to just, in a nice way, give it to everyone because we'd copped it for so long. So you go into a game and you might be 5 goals down at three-quarter time, but you always had this confidence that you were going to win. 9 times out of 10 you did. So all I can say is when it comes, you'll absolutely love it, and especially yourself, because I know you love your footy so much. And Marty, well, I don't know about the Bombers. Can they still make it, the Bombers?
Turn it up, mate, please. What I would like to know from you and the listeners is there a point where you can actually put in a transfer and say, I'm just about done here, and I wouldn't mind going to, just for the last quarter of my life, I might go and follow another team?
You can do it, Marty, but it'll never be the same. It'll never be the same. You've got your team from when you're a kid or whatever. And you can do it, but and then your original team will get up and they'll improve out of sight.
Can you imagine that? It's going the switcheroony and you almost take it to the bank the next year. Whooshka, the form reversal, up they get, and there you are with your new Guernsey on for your new side. Wouldn't that take a bit of swallowing? Goodness me.
I'm giving it some thought. I've got GW West well and truly on the Form 4 as a club of destination, but I'm just 2 more games and work it out. They're liable to come out and beat Sydney and Brisbane and qualify and put us through some more of this stuff. What about the return of our Kobe son? I thought it was a great return in race number 5 for Angela Davies.
Yeah, it was a really good return. I think he had a lovely run in the race. They did go along early. They ran at 21.85 between the 8 and the 4. That was no statement bowling along in front. But he always looked to be travelling, did he? He was about 4 lengths off them, and J-Mac just looked to have a nice grip on him. And when he let him rip at the 300-metre mark, he was always going to have them covered. He took a little bit of time to get past La Melody, I think it was, but did a good job late. I thought his best work was definitely late, and he's going to obviously improve fitness-wise there. Sebenak ran on quite well late.
There was a bit of money for it. There was a bit of money for it, Chris, Sebenak. They backed it late and it ran on well. They've gelded him, so he might be ready to put it all together. He's promised plenty, cost a lot of money. He may be ready to have a campaign.
But he was a long way off them, even at the 200-metre mark, so his effort to be beaten under 2 lengths was a good one.
All righty, moving on to race number 7 on the program there at Randwick yesterday. And this is a nice performance handed in by West of Africa. Tyler Schiller aboard for Annabelle Neesham here and proved too strong on the day for Prometo. And back in 3rd spot was Unlimited. West of Africa, though, came into the race with some pretty reasonable recent form and really stepped it up. It's now wins at 3 of its last 4 starts.
Yeah, going really well, Short. He carried the 57.5 here. I like what he did late. He powered away from them over the final stages, won by over 2 lengths. He had them covered down the out. So I think that outside section or well off the fence was the place to be for most of the day. Prometo did a pretty good job because it was up on speed with Space Age, who folded pretty quickly. Maybe that has something to do with that inside section there. Unlimited ran on, Colour Sergeant ran on. Yasuki I thought was disappointing and is overall a bit of a disappointing horse. Hasn't quite lived up to some of the promise maybe that's shown earlier on. And I've just caught one late, Miss You Ella, Kiramar Ash Morgan. Didn't get a lot of room in the straight. Looking back through her form, it's not great, but her last run prior to this wasn't too bad. So she might be ready to do something, Miss You Ella.
Okay, Missile Stakes, we've already spoken to Tom Charlton this morning about the winner, Schwartz. Covered a lot of ground, but got the job done.
Yeah, I like this guy, Schwartz. So I thought he was a really good chance when he came to Brisbane in the early part of the carnival, and I just don't think he handled Eagle Farm that day. He did race a little wide well before the home turn. He always faced the breeze, so his effort was a good one first up at 1,200 metres, and I like that dash he put in between the 300 and the 200. I thought he was quite impressive there. So he's a horse that, whilst he's not up to the top liners, he can certainly be in the forefront of some of these races during the carnival. Arctic Glamour ran on really well. She's an A-lister, was good. They're probably the three out of the race, but probably Schwartz really the one to follow.
Alrighty, and we round out with Golden Path, Chad Schofield aboard. It's been riding in pretty good form of late, Chad, and was able to get Golden Path home here for Mick Price and Michael Kent Jr. Defeated Manzoice and Redstone well, but Golden Path continuing on that good recent form. Won the McKell Cup there at Rose Hill, the start prior over the 2,000 metres, back 200 metres in distance here, but did it nicely.
Yeah, did it really nicely, Short. As you mentioned, in a really good rich vein of form at the moment, Golden Path. We had all runners all over the place here in this race. They ran wide on the home turn. Now, the favourite there, Aramco, Kieran McAvoy reported that he hung on the home turn, and then his whip got pushed out of his hand by Nashville Willa. Geez, a tough bugger, Nashville Willa.
Oh, he's got some tricks.
Wrestled the whip out of Kieran McAvoy's hand, so things didn't go to plan for Aramco. Manzoice was running on. Yeah, I don't know what that means for the format of this race for some of the horses behind him, but we know he's got ability, but he hasn't won since the Derby in Melbourne, and Redstone well was an improved effort as well. I think Golden Path can probably keep winning at this particular level, but that level's going to change in a few weeks.
Okay, so horses to follow there from Randwick, and then we'll head up to Sunshine Coast.
Race 7, Miss You Ella, might be ready to show something, and out of race 8, definitely Schwartz and maybe Arctic Glamour as well.
All right, the first Cosmo Centaurus wins for Robert Heathcote. Looked like a pretty good day for our man Bailey Wheeler up there.
Yeah, it was, and Rob Heathcote got a treble as well, and Bailey rode 2 of those. Cosmo Centaurus was a massive wrap right from when acceptances went up, was heavily backed, had trialled really well, won 3 trials this year. The latest was in a super quick time, really quick time, but it was pushed out. But it got the job done here. I thought Dream Smart was very good. He's threatening to win a race, this horse. He was checking off heels before the home turn. He was near enough to shuffle back to last on the home turn. Then he weaved home really well, and he was beaten less than a length. He probably should have won, just about won this race, Dream Smart. So he was good, and Heart and Spirit ran third. He was another one that raced tight in the straight. So you can probably follow all of those 3, but keep in mind it was a Saturday, but it was a maiden. We don't get too many of those on a Saturday.
Just quickly, listening to the post-race interview yesterday with Rob Heathcote, it was an emotional win. It was a member of their, I think he said, there's a golf club that's involved in this particular horse, but he has openly come out into the marketplace, Rob, and said this is one of the best juveniles that he's ever trained. So he's really put quite big raps on this horse, and he said, look, there's going to be a fair bit of improvement for whatever comes out of that run there yesterday. But he's not a man that sort of puts a boom on his horses for the sake of it, Robbie Heathcote. I've always had enormous respect for him as a trainer and a human being, and when I heard him speak in such glowing terms, this horse went straight into my black book. I think it's worth following, and Bailey Wheeler spoke quite nicely in regards to the horse as well post-race. So I think this may well be one for us to keep an eye out for heading forward, Chris. Robbie Heathcote's a good judge of his horses, and he's put a really nice rap on this fellow.
Well, he's had a few over the years to compare it to. That's the thing. And when he comes out and says something like that about a horse, you know that he's comparing it against some of the better horses that he's had. And we talk about Buffering and Rockfire, etc. So if he's suggesting he's one of the best horses he's ever trained at this stage, then I think he's well and truly deserved to go in the Black Book and everybody else's, Shorty.
Yeah, it's by Cosmic Force, who's a son of Deep Field. So Deep Field wouldn't have too many of his sons at stud. I'd nearly go out on a limb and say this could be the first. Stands at Newgate for 11,000. So we'll follow the stallion as well and the exploits of his son there after Shorty alerted to the big rap on it from Robbie. Race number 2 at the Sunshine Coast caught your eye as well?
Yeah, just this horse, the winner. I think he might turn out to be quite okay when he gets out to a longer trip, Mr. Bianco. He caught my eye on debut when he ran second, but he never gave in. And then he stepped up in distance, went to Ipswich and won there. And he went back 50 metres yesterday, but you could see on the line he's got a good bit of fight in him, and that just suggests he'll get out over further. So I think around 1,600 metres, he might go for a break now. He's had the 3 runs. But next time, when he gets out over a bit of ground, Mr. Bianco, he might be a nice horse. He didn't beat any stars here, but as I said, in off-season, he's probably a horse to follow over further.
Indeed. On to race number 4. This is the No Metro Wins, and it was no surprise Master Showman getting the job done here to win this race, defeating Allow Me. But I guess more importantly out of this, you told us to follow this young apprentice, Cody Collis, a few weeks ago now, Chris, and said there's a nice bright future in the saddle. And yesterday was another good example that you're a pretty good judge in that space. I think Cody Collis has got plenty of races to win heading forward, particularly in town with that 3 kilo claim.
Oh, we've got so many of them at the moment up here. I've mentioned Emily Lang, I think, every single week. But, yeah, she's flying. And Cody Collis is another one we speak about, Bailey Wheeler. Chelsea Baker from Tasmania rode her first winner in Queensland last night at Toowoomba. She's now with Tony Gollan. So, yeah, the claims are like gold this time of the year. Master Showman, he was good. He got a nice run along the fence. The gap came in the straight. He was able to win. Look, there was nothing between... 1.9 lengths between first and seventh, but there was one here, guys. That was a tragedy beat, and then, of course, I tipped it, and that was Bohemian Lad, who was beaten 1.5 lengths. It was an absolute horror show. Just never really ever got a crack at them at all in the straight. Shuffled back near the home turn. Just stick with him going forward. He will be winning a race very shortly.
Okay, we need to push this on. Race number 5 taken out by Zaphod for Chris Lees and Andrew Mellion.
Yeah, nice type. Former Irish galloper. He failed at Eagle Farm first up in Queensland, but there were excuses, and yeah, he certainly looked the goods tomorrow. He travelled a lot better in the run. I think he likes the softer ground too, so stick with Zaphod going forward.
Chris, anything there for the punters to get involved with on this Sunday afternoon upcoming? We have, of course, got racing at the Sunshine Coast. A 7-race program gets underway, 10:48 WA time. Anything worth a flutter there today?
Well, we are on the poly track today, guys, and the forecast is for some showers during the day. Race 1, number 4, Glorious Ruby, I think, is over the odds. And race 7, number 9, Crown Guinea, is worth a throw at the stumps here. Chain of Jobs stable. I think he's got a bit of ability and might be suited to the poly track. So just something small, race 7, number 9. And just quickly, we might see plenty more poly track racing this week. We're getting about 250 mils apparently between tomorrow and Wednesday.
Okay, better get the arc ready, Chris. Get the arc ready.
Bilby. Thanks, Chris.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
B5681. On the Aftermath, you're listening to Marty Young and David Shortte right here on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Oh, yes. What about Racetrack Ralphy? Makes the trifecta up. Morning, Ralphie.
Morning, boys. Yes. A bit of misery yesterday in the footy.
All round, mate. All 3 of us in the trifecta.
Aren't we airborne? Glad we're talking about racing and not football this morning, Ralphie.
What did you get beat by? How many points? Yours was a blowout.
In comparison, yeah, the 11 points was a blowout.
Yeah, to ours 1 and 2.
Not pretty, Saints. We move on. Let's go back to some racing from yesterday, Ralphie. We'll go top to tail there at the Valley. It all got underway with Y. Marie. Mark Zara aboard. He had a good afternoon in the saddle. Livor was second. Electric Impulse back in third, but pretty well thought of by the punters, Y. Marie, and duly saluted in the first.
Yeah, look, as a caveat, I've got the first half of the program right and the second half very wrong. I just want to, worth underlining for the punters here, I've got Vince Cardi's data through.
Good.
The track played, as Marty Shortte said, which was softer than expected, and in the mid-race, in sort of around about the 600-metre mark, softer again. So you really had to be a wet tracker to win. And we expect the Moonee Valley to improve dramatically, but you can't ask for anything more than that as a punter. In that you got exactly the right information from the curator. So tick there. Good to see the racing back at the Valley. And as you said, Shorty, Y. Marie, well thought of from the punters that dominated at Sandown and did so again. Probably the horse to follow is the jockey, Mark Zara, because he's back from his holiday. And hopefully he spends a lot of money when he goes on his holidays, because by gee, he comes back hungry, doesn't he?
You want him hungry. Blue Straddle won. I like the run of Last Druid in second.
Yeah, so this is when the lanes first sort of changed over, and you didn't want to be on the fence from here on in, and we'll get to one that was pretty comprehensively beaten. Yeah, Last Druid, it was a nice run. I dare say these are the B grade that's coming through, but if they come back to Moonee Valley in a couple of weeks, they'll be hard to beat. But Blue Stratum sort of blew out late fitness wise as well.
Race number 3, benchmark 70 over the 2040. Lincoln Rocks was too good, that man again, Mark Zara. Captain Electric, nice run in second. Flamin' Romans was back in third.
I reckon you could put a big circle around this race because it's only a benchmark 70, so it won't be hard for the first 4 home to find the right races for different reasons. Lincoln Rock's very, very dominant at Sale, and then at Sandown just too far back, and that was strong form behind Star Baker, and then won at Mooney at Flemington last week. Mark Zara put Daniel Stackhouse in a zip faster at the back of the field, and Captain Electric was really strong the last 200 metres, 5th best last 200 of the day. The end of 2,040 metres is excellent, and Flamin' Romans, not much money for it off a good Geelong win second up, so it's going to improve again. And Commander Harry, well, it was in front and really took off, and it was a good proactive ride, but gassed out late, and that was against the rail before everyone knew to stay away. So I think the first 4 home, for different reasons, are the ones to follow here.
4th of And, it was a good race for Simon Wild. 1st and 3rd, Dashing Duchess for Mark Zara, wins by a couple of lengths.
Yeah, nice and fit back from that 2,800 run, and it was dominant. Pretty basic standard, though, benchmark 78.
All right, on to race number 5. The money came heavy and hard for Mornington Glory, and as it turns out, it was wise money. Jamie Carr steering Mornington Glory had the perfect sit behind 2 on-speeders that went nutso, and you could just see the odd puff of smoke coming out from Jamie Carr behind them there, was absolutely smoking the pipe.
Absolutely, and this is where you take market intelligence as a reason, because the horse was pretty poor first up, but it had a jump out since, and you knew it had talent, 3rd in the Oakley Plate, and once the money came for it, well, they stopped backing it when the barriers opened, didn't they? And rightly so. This horse is going to improve again. He's better on firmer ground, so they've run on raw times at 6.5 lengths below benchmark, so obviously you adjust that upwards from there, but this horse is going to win again. I'd be very confident staying with this horse, one of the real ones we can stand for the day.
Okay, we've got 2.5 minutes to cover the quaddie legs. Away you go.
Well, it's not hard. Firstly, Big Me in the wrong lane. It will win next start. It's now rock hard fit after 2 runs, and as I said, the lanes beat it yesterday, but it was still a bit short of a run. Race 7, Point King, very impressive. You always got to tell yourself with Team Williams horses, what's the intent? Well, the intent was get its ratings up. So unlike, let's say, Post Impressionist last week, he's already got a high rating. They needed to qualify. So it was impressive. Your team won. That's in Colorado, but it was a basic benchmark 74. And in the last race there, Home Rule, a good example of the wet track. It needs wet track, and by then the track had really given out. So extra 2, I expect to really improve on a firmer surface going forward. But let's put a big circle around Mornington Glory, and of those who got beaten, Big Me just back on a rock hard fit next start, 3rd up will be the 2 we can follow with a little bit of confidence.
Was it wet last night at the MCG?
No, it was the Shiraz was a bit on the wet side there, mate.
I was going to say, not behind the glass, Ralphie.
They kicked 14 goals, Ralphie. That was between them. What's going on there?
It was perfect conditions. Well, actually, I get it, because that's what Melbourne sort of stopped doing at the start of the year for some bizarre reason. That's what they're best at, just hard contest footy, and then sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. If without injuries, that's probably our best form of playing. But it was sort of brought down to our level, which was fine. But in the end, just that little bit of class. Jason Horn-Francis, what a star he is.
Yeah, I agree with that. Agree with that.
Cozzy Pickett was in rare form last night. 4 goals in a low-scoring game. He was outstanding.
He's a superstar. I've got no idea why there's ever any criticism of him. It apparently was during the week. It must have been his turn in clickbait world.
Okay, we've got to get going. A texter wants to know how many seagulls there last night. They looked like there was a few.
Yeah, they were 2 to 1.
2 to 1 was it?
2 to 1 to the crowd.
They got to sort those wires out, Ralphie. They got to sort those wires out.
Blake will be on SEN blowing up next week again. Pooping in me pie. See you, Ralphie.
All right, boys. See you.
RacetrackRalphie.com.au. That's where you get the information.
On the Aftermath, you're listening to Marty Young and David Shortte right here on Tab Radio Racing and Sport. This weather update on the Aftermath is brought to you by Tab Touch. Better your bet with Tab Touch.
Let's have a look at the weather around the state today. Broome 33 and sunny, Carrara 28 degrees, lots of sunshine. Port Hedland 31 and sunny, Carnarvon 25 degrees. The clouds increasing, but the bananas are still growing beautifully there. Geraldton 21, showers are easing. Northam 20 degrees, showers and clearing. Kalgoorlie very nice up there today, 27 degrees. A possible shower developing. Good luck to Scooter and all the team for a big day of racing up there at the KBRC. Mandurah 19 with a shower or two. Pinjarra 20 with partly cloudy areas throughout the day. Bunbury 19 with a shower or two. Albany 20 with a shower or two. Esperance 23 degrees with a shower or two developing. In the metro area today, there is a shower or two, a top of 21. There's possible rainfall of 0 to 8 millimetres, 70% chance of rain. That's quite a nice start to the day at 16.8 degrees.
Hey, Shorty, how are we looking up at Port Hedland? I missed that.
Port Hedland.
Cup on there for Tams today.
What about this? 31 and sunny, Marty.
Oh, well, sun's out.
Picture perfect.
Better get to the text line. Rusty Gates, he's been up and about on the text line for Retrovision, 0427 789 571 for Group 1 Morts. Hi, Marty and Shorty. Last season, you could count on Collingwood snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. This season, you can count on Fremantle snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. And if they do make the 8, a similar scenario will probably transpire. If the Eagles don't side Jared Schofield as their next coach, I would think that that any other club looking for a new coach will lock him in. Think he may have passed the pub test thus far in his coaching career, but if the Eagles were to be asked a question about their new coach, the standard answer will be, we will go through the process, even though the process is staring them in the face. Just watch a replay of the women's 1,500 metres at the Olympics, and I have to say the Australian girl ran a hull of a good race to secure the silver medal. That is from Rusty.
Rusty, I see what you've done there. I see what you've done there with Hull, and it was a great run for silver in that particular race. Look, Freo, they're an interesting case. I think if Alex Pearce and Josh Tracy come back into the side and the big fellow Sean Darcy, it's a big three to be missing at this time of the year. I think if you take 3 of the top 5 players out of any side in the competition, they come back to the pack pretty quickly. Fremantle haven't been blown off the park, but those 3 players rank in their top sort of 6 to 7 for importance, and they were all missing there last night. They need to be better. They need to find ways to win. Absolutely, I put my hand up. But hey, have a look around the competition. They're all getting rolled. They're all getting rolled.
On The Aftermath, it's time to introduce the 1985 Brownlow medalist from the Footscray Football Club, Brad Hardie. Introducing the boy from Hilton, the AFL guru, Brad Hardie.
Good morning, Bradley.
Morning, Marty. Good morning, Shorty. Good to be with you, boys. How are you enjoying this game of AFL Snakes and Ladders? Oh, Marty, I've got to say, Marty.
Yes, say it.
Elwyn Davey Jr.
He's a player.
Elwyn Davey Jr. How's that smelling mothballs coming up?
Yeah, beautiful.
I don't know.
Yeah, just clearing the nasal passages as we speak. And, Brad, as I said earlier to Shorty, they want to bring in a wild card round, which, as it stands now, would put us through another week of this crap. Imagine that. Well, we would abdicate it. We'd say, no, go to team 11, scratch 9. Yeah. So it'll be 10 and 11.
As I said to the boys on the daily, I get it. It would work this year because of the closeness of the competition, the log jam. But, as I say, I don't think I want to be, Fremantle next year in 7th spot, having won 3 more games than Essendon or Hawthorn and getting knocked out in a wild card round.
There's potential.
I'm not sure that's going to pass, in Rusty's words, the pub test.
The pub test. The other thing with it, though, then, and correct me if I'm wrong, but after that, just say 7 and 8 win, do they then play the next week? They would have to.
Yeah, they do. You go right through.
Yeah. So 7 and 8 have to play an extra round.
They do.
Yep, correct.
Yeah,
they're the losers. They're the losers out of this whole process. 7 and 8, they can't sweep.
And it might be Fremantle's game, but they might be playing it in Brisbane because they paid the most money.
Yeah, spot on, Brad. Spot on.
Making a lot of sense. I'm getting it now.
Hey, speaking of paying the most money, Bradley, have we got you in the candles tonight? Have you had a blackout where you are?
You wouldn't believe it. I was sitting back enjoying the show and Racetrack Ralphy and how well Melbourne are going, and thought, oh, Marty, what about that? I didn't even see that game. Not even going to watch the mini. Not even going to watch the mini. I can't believe that. Mate, I was at I was obviously under the roof last night at Marvel, Shorty, and I thought, what is going on? We had around the grounds, man, all of that. And is it raining at the MCG?
Yeah.
I couldn't work it out. Like, it was just, they just weren't scoring. It was unbelievable. But, yeah, and all of a sudden, kabang, everything went off. Apologies for that, boys, but,
that's all right.
Beyond my control, that one.
Oh, that's all good. The main thing is we got you loud and clear. As long as you can see all right with the candles on there, Bradley, well, you'll have them.
Well, you know, it was a tough day on the punt yesterday, so the mice mightn't have been fed in Williamstown. They might have stopped work. There's not enough cheese to go around.
Hey, what a day of football we've got coming up. We'll go back and recap all these games, but I can't wait to talk about these three games today, two in particular that have got massive ramifications. But we'll go back to Friday night, Bradley. This was a wonderful game of football as it turned out. Collingwood on the road, they're always hard to beat travelling. Sydney just needed a response, and it took them pretty much 99.9% of the game to find it, but they eventually got their mojo and snuck home by 3 points. It could easily have gone the other way, but is this potentially the catalyst to turn things around for Sydney and straighten them up as we aim towards the finals?
Yeah, look, they've got a pretty handy draw, you know, on the way home. So now they've got to take on Essendon next week against Marty's boys. But, Marty, I think Marty was singing from the same hymn book. Well, I was bullish on Collingwood. I couldn't believe it. I thought the market makers got it wrong. I think they did get it wrong, to be honest. But somehow Collingwood in recent weeks, boys, have just conjured up, as Rusty said, a way to lose. You know, in the last 5 weeks, they've scored a total of 68 points in the last quarters, Shorty, and had 159 scored against them.
Against them, yep.
5 weeks in a row. That's not an abnormality. Or an aberration. That is a block of work. You can't get much better than that. And I don't know. I mean, clearly I know every team's had their injuries, but the ins and outs and all that sort of stuff. But oh, lordy. Look, there's no doubt. There's an argument to be made about it should have been a 50, and the noise of affirmation at Optus or at the MCG with Collingwood fans probably would have got that one. But, you know, they should never have got themselves in that tangle. And what about the last quarter, Marty? We talk about it all the time, coaching on match day, Shorty. You don't reckon those bells and whistles would have been going off in the last quarter with Goulden and Heaney and Warner. Yeah. And you think, hang on a minute, you've got to be... Put Lipinski on someone or do something to try and stem the bleeding. And, it wasn't a great night in the office for Craig McRae, and now he'll have a full summer, although they'll still got to play Brisbane next week, and they'll be nuisance, really. But to answer your question, as I said to Marty, I thought that Sydney could have a good quarter or two, maybe, Marty. You know, but I didn't think they'd get it back together, the band back together in 1 week. But Collingwood certainly left the door open for them, Shorty. And now it might just be the catalyst to kick them going. Now that they've found themselves at the top of the ladder, or they might relax next week and do something stupid and lose to Essendon. Who knows?
I'm still not fully sold. They did enough to win, but it wasn't vintage Sydney. It wasn't the form they were in going back sort of 3 months ago when they were league leaders and really doing it nicely. But at some point you need a circuit breaker, and that was a circuit breaker for them. And Collingwood isn't a year a long time in footy.
We'll look back on round 22 and say, well, they just beat the Pies, but they'll probably go deep into September. We weren't even worried about it.
Yeah, that's a good bounce back ability after losing 100 points the previous start. So you've got to give them a tick for that. They're on and finishing off the game in that last quarter suggests that they should be starting the game well next week, and they got away to a better start for a bit anyhow. That was one positive.
And a year's a long time in footy, isn't it? Last year Collingwood could not lose these close games, and a year on, and the most tight contests they've been involved in, it's gone the other way. It's tough to keep winning the close games.
Yeah, the sliding door moments, I call them, Shorty, and you're absolutely right. You know, and my boys, the Doggies last year, we were losing those games, and this year we're starting to win a few. So from that point of view, it makes a hell of a difference if you're on the right side of that sliding door.
Just when you wanted to trust Brisbane, I've had trust issues with them all year. And when Kieran Briggs was out, earlier on the week going GWS, I went, no, I'll trust you now. Nah.
And you know what they say, bad kicking is bad football.
Yeah.
Brisbane Lions, 8-16, 64. They've had 24 scoring shots. Defeated by GWS 13-4, so they've only had the 17 scoring shots as opposed to 24. 7 more shots at the big sticks from Brisbane, and yet it's the GWS Giants that cash in on their opportunities and go away with a 3-goal victory. And this is impressive because their run home's not easy, GWS, but they're now building up a very nice bit of momentum, Bradley, and this was an impressive win from them away from home. Not many knock over Brisbane at the Gabba.
No, that's true. And look, and as I said, I've been at pains to to tell everybody all year, Shorty, take it 1 week at a time. And, I was discussing with the boys on the daily the other day how Brisbane were favourites and the Dogs were second favourite. I said, well, you can't be because, Marty's on the money there because, they've been winning, but they hadn't been winning with the same authority. But the problem for me is the numbers game. I mean, that's what we're all in it for. They'd won 9 in a row. That's 9 in a row. That's a lot in this current climate, the way the competition's been this year. And even my Dogs, I mean, as well as they're going, they're 5 on the bounce now. They probably have to win another 5 in a row short to win the flag. I mean, who does that? It's a real worry. And you'd want to get them 10-1 the field, I reckon, at the moment, because who knows? But, you're right. The Giants are they're very thorough, and they do run through the line, so to speak, and they did it last week against Hawthorn, and they did it again yesterday, and they looked at their own worst enemy. There's no doubt about that. I was sort of keeping an eye on that game the same time as I was watching the boys at Belroof, and I thought, geez, this is going to come back and haunt you, and they haven't, and it's not just a once-off. No. It's been happening a fairly regular basis for Brisbane, and if you leave that door slightly ajar, the good teams will kick it in, and particularly that top end. And well done to the GWS Giants. As you say, they're on a bit of a roll, Shorty, but they've got two cracking games to come. One against Fremantle on the rebound, and of course my boys at Mars, which is at Ballarat in the last. So isn't this last round going to be something special when you think about it? With Port Adelaide coming to Fremantle to take on them in the last round, probably to finish in top 4. Yep.
Talk about running through the lines, GWS. This is their last quarters against Brisbane, 31-1, against Hawthorn, 27-12, against Melbourne, 35-8, and they did it at Charlton too, round 17, 52-19. So they must be very fit. And they've
always got a belief in what they're doing.
I was about to say the belief.
As I say, that's the thing. It's like watching the dream team in basketball. You look at the scoreboard, but you don't have to. You just look at what they're doing, and they just keep going for it. And I use it and I'm not saying GWS are champions, but I use it in the tennis analogy. Shorty, I always say, the champion tennis players aren't frightened to lose. They can be 2-5 down, love 40. Yep. And still go for the backhand down the line. You know what I mean? And that's the difference. And if you really do that and practice it often enough in legitimate games, you'll come through. And look, I suppose we have to park our mind back to they lost the grand. They should have been nearly in the grand final last year. And prelim. And we all had the horrors early at the start of the year. We thought, Brisbane, Collingwood should try and defend. They're both on their knees. Brisbane have found a way back. Collingwood haven't. And now the Giants weren't going all that special either. Started well. Lost their way. Now they're coming back. It's a perfect time to be coming back too.
Indeed. They were my pick at the start of the season, and I must admit, midway through, Marty, I was starting to think, maybe they've just lost the hunger or the passion, but to be able to flip it around, it's a season where if you're in the mix, you just need to be there and qualify.
At the right time.
The one thing I'll say about it, they're starting to get the band back together. They're pretty close to their best side.
Caniglio to come back.
Yeah.
Wings to come back.
That's it. You get those two back. They're very close to full capacity, and that experience from last year, Brad, pushing Collingwood deep in that prelim final, that'll certainly serve them well. So they're right back on the charge. And Jesse Hogan's been so important. 3 goals again yesterday, Brad.
They might have, he's going outstandingly well, and that was his best. That was his best win too. Because I said to Marty on Friday, I mean, he'd been playing against the second stringers for some reason. I don't know why they were thinking that. And Harris Andrews did go to him and made him look silly a couple of times, Jesse. So that's good. And Toby Green's form at the start of the year was patchy. He looked like he's becoming even more solid. As you say, Caniglio come back in, Kelly back in. First up after a bit of a spell out, so that's good. And they've got an evenness all across the ground, haven't they? So, we'll watch this one, and a fascinating game next week against Fremantle to come.
You broadcast this game, West Coast. How did they win this against North? 102-97.
I got no idea. That's what I was talking about multitasking. I was trying to watch everything that was going on, and it was. I thought I'd almost given up the ghost myself. But this is purely and simply North Melbourne getting it wrong, and West Coast. The week before, the Gold Coast, they said, "Well, we'll just outscore you." They looked like they were going to do that, but they left the door ajar, and West Coast were able to come through, and that's exactly what happened again yesterday. Talk about a game of two halves. Poor old Oscar Allen couldn't get out of his own way in the first half. And I thought, geez, you just had some lean pickings on the way back. He's kicked his one or two. It's been Waterman pretty much doing the bulk of the work. They still had a stack of passengers yesterday, West Coast, up until that last quarter. And, from that point of view, it was a really good result for them. But just the greenness of North Melbourne not realising the situation, not reading the temperature in the room. Hey, boys, we're 19 points in front, six minutes to go. Let's not do anything dummy. Yeah, well, did they just? I couldn't think of anything more they could do to lose the game.
Just leave Oscar Allen
they did. So
unattended
well
in that.
Sorry?
They just left Oscar Allen unattended in that final play.
Yeah.
No one on him.
That's what I'm saying. I couldn't understand what more they could do to lose the game.
Yeah.
And that's just not 101 footy, as you say, trying to defend the lead. But we're seeing it so often. We saw it last week with 3-0. We saw it with Hawthorn against the Giants. We saw it nearly with Carlton and Collingwood. We saw it last night Friday night with the Sydney Swans, and we saw it again yesterday. In a couple of games where you just can't take things for granted. And there was the thing of the red and gold T-shirts up at the Hilton Park Oval, Shorty. Play till the siren. Play till the siren. That was a coach used to drive you mad. About it. And you think, what's he talking about? Well, I tell you what, it's coming back to in really, really loud now as to what you need to do in the current climate, because if you don't run through the line, as we say, you will get knocked over.
Basic football, just really basic principles, though. Even that last one, Cripps kicks that goal. If you're a defender, get on the goal line. God. How many times do you hear it at a game of football? If there was a couple of defenders that were back there with him, get on the goal line, protect your goals. It's just, they're really basic principles, right? But when a game is tight late in the piece and you've got the lead, just protect your lead. Go, take a bit of air out of the game. They just panic. They totally panic. And credit to Oscar Allen. A couple of really cool things to come out of this if you're a West Coast supporter. We've talked about how badly the sides needed a change for a long period of time. If this isn't a great example of exactly why they needed a freshen up, I'm not here. So Schofield comes in. That's the third straight week now. They were excellent in the Derby. They won 2 weeks ago. They've come from an almost impossible position to win this game. They might not have been high-profile, massive games, but they're important. They give supporters something to get excited about. They give young guys opportunities within the team.
Correct.
Some of the older guys, they have been regenerated out of this. Liam Ryan, his performance in this game, as well as the last couple of weeks, he's chasing 50, 60, 80 metres, tackling blokes, bringing them to ground. You see the smile on the faces of guys like Elliot Yeo yesterday after the win. The older guys want to come along for the ride now. And now the West Coast fans have got something to look forward to in 2025. I think they pulled the trigger at the right time.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we spoke about the numbers last week. There was 10 blokes under 50 games and 5 19-year-olds and a couple of 20-year-olds. And that should have been the mantra right from day one, because they were never going to make finals this year, as we know. I think even the most optimistic West Coast Eagles supporters would have conceded that. But, there was a couple. I think he had to look a couple in the eye at half time yesterday. And Liam Ryan was one of those. The first half, he was abysmal. I mean, he just kicking off one step, not really putting in. And you're right, Shorty, and it worked because he got challenged and he came through. And it wasn't all Elliot Yeo and Tim Kelly, etc., driving the win in the end, which is good, and that's what they need to do. And a few of these boys, True was good again yesterday. They're going to make mistakes along the way, but you just got to give them time on the ground. And as I say, you build confidence when you win. And with 2 weeks to go, they'll certainly again look forward to it. Look, will it be the good thing for Schofield? He'll certainly have his oar in the water. But they will have, unfortunately, a host of people they want to go down the path with, and they'll lean back on the process and all that sort of stuff. So it remains to be seen how it will go. But I'm with you, Shorty, and that's why we were calling so hard and so long that Simpson had to go, because this is what can happen when you give that rejuvenating and refreshing voice someone a little bit of difference, allowing you to go out and actually enjoy your footy. Instead of doing what I was calling damage control on the scoreboard. Well, now they're actually scoring, which is good. And if you're playing in a team that's scoring and you win, it's a double bonus.
Okay, Fremantle, Geelong. Tell us about it. Geelong 73 beat Fremantle 62.
I feel for Fremantle supporters. I really do. I'm a Fremantle boy at heart. You know that, Marty. And even though I've got the doggies in front of them, but the bottom line is that you just keep shooting yourself in the foot. And I heard Shorty, I get that with who was out, but geez, and I'll give you another name, Matt Taberner. I mean, surely there's got to be someone else. Matt's been done. He's spent. Not blaming him. He didn't lose the game for him yesterday, but he didn't help him win it either. And I just get this funny feeling, you know, every time Fremantle get in position. I love Sarong's game yesterday. Far better than having it 40 and not kicking a goal.
Yep.
You know, having it 20-odd and kicking 3 goals. That's what I want to see. That's what he needs to do more often. I just don't know. And their energy and their pressure levels weren't there. Out tackled. And I know Fife has got beat up, but he didn't have a tackle yesterday. Not one. I mean, seriously. I mean, this is where the game was won and lost pretty much. Was turnover footy, pressure on ball carriers, etc. And they got mugged early again at home. I don't know how that works out. Put a lot of pressure on their back six, minus Pearce, as Shorty touched on. So, it's really, really frustrating. And look, they're in danger now. Make no respect. I don't want to see it happen, but make no respect. They're in danger of missing. You know,
yes.
You can't believe this. You know, like they had a chance, you know, at 3 minutes to go last week of finishing top 4, and now they're a chance of missing.
Yeah.
It's just, unfortunately, Shorty, I'll say it because I know you're a loyal man. It's typical Fremantle. This is just what they do. This is what they do. I said it last week, and they just build you up, and then you're crestfallen for, you know, when you shouldn't be beaten. I mean, they were there to be beat, Geelong. They're going okay. They're not going great, but they played blokes into form. Dangerfield and
what about Dangerfield's game?
It's unbelievable.
Don't want to see that. They're probably lucky to get as close in the end, because what about that Dangerfield effort in the last one? He's obviously going to pull a hamstring. He should have just bent over and picked it up and kicked the goal anyway, but he toe-poked it and went for a point. But they won anyway, so all's forgiven. But, that's really hurts, because Fremantle at home are a far better commodity than they are away from home.
Essendon were able to kick 1 goal 9 in the last quarter and get beat by a point with a kick after the siren. That was a pretty good effort.
Marty, I texted you, didn't we? We were texting. I sensed it. I said, I'm really worried about this one. It was the old Sugar Ray Leonard. The reason I'll win when he's fighting Marvin Hagler, because no one thinks I can. And I think Essendon went out with the same philosophy as Gold Coast did against West Coast the week before. We'll just outscore you. I don't have a problem with that. But at some point, you've got to put 5 or 6 goals on them.
Yep.
And they never, ever looked like doing that. It was an arm wrestle back and forwards, lack of intensity, no tackling. Merritt did his best at one stage to, bring that. The fantastic, and I'm being his biggest critic. McGrath's run down in the last quarter. I thought, here we go. This might be the turning point for him, Shorty. A match-saving chase and tackle. Yeah, no, we can't have that. And, of course, Mac Andrew was just sensational. He was dirty at half time. He wanted to take on the world. He threw the ball away and got a 50-metre penalty, and he came out. They were booing and hissing him. And, just knew he had his name written all over it.
Oh, you could
see. He came in, and he took the big mark, and he went back and coolly slotted it. And didn't he let them know as well? And like Fremantle supporters, Essendon have been a long time suffering, Shorty.
Oh.
And, I tell you what, you should have seen the faces on the people as they left.
Oh, glum.
Stadium. It was a very, very tragic ride home on the train or the car. If you're a Bomber supporter, that's for sure.
The irony of it isn't lost on me. So, Marty, for Essendon in the last 10 weeks, they've got themselves up for 1 game of football.
Against Fremantle.
Who was it against?
Yeah,
Fremantle, unbelievable. All around it, yep, just lacking effort. All the Freo front up, bang, they turn up and they're absolutely eating raw meat all week to get themselves ready for the contest.
That's them.
The joys, Marty, I think we're both absolutely sentenced to lives of torture, unfortunately, but we'll keep working through it. Hey, Brad, on the upside, we're both football lovers and we can't wait to watch these 3 games today. My goodness.
Oh, yeah.
This first one, don't leave home. Don't just put the phone, take off the hook, tell people you're out of action, because from 11:10 this morning, Carlton $1.94, Hawthorn 186, the line 1.5, total points 171.5. I can barely remember a game that I've been more excited to watch than this one. So much on the line for both sides.
Oh, Shorty, and increase it up. I know you had a magnificent day in Perth yesterday, as you often do. What was it, 23, 24? We've had a run of magnificent days here. It is absolutely splendid. It's only going to be 15 or 16, but the sun's shining on a cloud in the sky. This is tailor-made for what a cracking game this promises to be. And Carlton's season's pretty much on the line. And so is Hawthorn, but there's a less expectation on Hawthorn. No one expected Hawthorn to be here where they are. And, they've had a couple of hiccups, one against Geelong a few weeks ago, and they coughed up a game they shouldn't have last week. I see them winning this game, Marty. I really do. I think they can They can get the job done. I'm really worried. Patrick Cripps has been outstanding, certainly in contention for another Brownlow, and all that's fine. But he'll cough that up. He'll be happy to do that as long as he's leading his team into the finals and deep into the finals, hopefully. But I just don't see it. Wiedring's form's just come off a little bit shorty. They're isolating and separating him from, his immediate opponent a fair bit, so that worries me. Walsh just gone off the boil a little bit. And look, Charlie Kerner, I'm not sure he's even right. I said to Marty during the week, I had a bit of a tip-off. I thought it was a little bit of a Max Gorn. He might have had a small crack or fracture in his foot. But he's been named. But what impact will he have on the game? Is Harry Mackay going to stand up for them? Are they little blokes around them going to stand up? I'm not so sure. Hewitt and Newman have been absolutely outstanding. They keep having a go. But I just like what this team at Hawthorn's doing under Sam Mitchell. They do it with a smile on their face. And, they got a rocket last week because they coughed it up and they shouldn't have. But he'll just tell them to go out again and start the process again. Let's go out there. Let's win the ball. Let's run and share and create. And get it through the big sticks at our end and, take it up to them. And I think they will today. It'll be a closey. Yeah, it's a little bit closer than Arctic Glamour yesterday. But anyway, that's all right. It's another thing, but I think Hawthorn win this one. Sure.
I've got a feeling Kerno's not going to play. I've got a tip he wasn't going to play in that market advice overnight. Carlton have gone 185 to 194 and Hawthorn the other way, 195 into 186. That's a big fluctuation, Shorty, and that's normally a player out fluck, isn't it?
It can well be, yeah. That's the full, basically, market flip around off a fairly similar bracket.
Mind you, Shorty, he's got a challenge. He has got a challenge. Now, this bloke is built like Tarzan. He's got all the attributes, but you got to say, and this is why Dusty was revered so much, even though he tapered off towards the end. It's what you do in big games and finals. And at the moment, Charlie may have won a couple of Colemans, and good on him. But in big games and finals, we haven't quite seen him deliver just yet. If you're going out there and you've got an injury, Marty, you're right. Stay in the sheds because you're not going to do yourself any good.
No, particularly. I know what I mean. Look, they need to win this game, sure, but without him firing on all cylinders come final times, they're not going to have an impact anyway. No. So they need to look after him. Same for Freo with Josh Tracy. If he's not right, don't play him because you need him to be right to have any impact in finals. This next game, we go from one of the best.
Power back, Shorty.
Good news. You can blow the candles out, Bradley. So we've got Richmond St Kilda. It's not a game I'm looking forward to too much. Both of these sides have been pretty plain in season 2024. I would expect that St Kilda win probably a bit of a dour affair there, Bradley.
Just take it. The overs 162.5. I think it was yesterday when I was looking at it on Tap Touch. They'll get that because St Kilda will win it. I think you're right. And Richmond, they're bedraggled at the moment. Bolton's checked out. Dusty's obviously checked out. There's a few that are checked out. So I think that's the single bet on that game. You can sit back, don't care who wins, just go mad, boys. One day footy, over 162.5, take the $1.90 or whatever it is, and as you say, keep sipping your beer.
All right, Adelaide Bulldogs.
Yeah, the Western Bulldogs go across to Adelaide, take care of business like they should, but I can see it's a banana skin game again, but they're priced at $6 now. They could almost go to favourites for the flag if they take care of business with Adelaide.
Yeah, but as I say, I'm keen to point out because, as I said, I agree. Their form's as good as anybody's. But as I say, it's that numbers game that we're playing. Brisbane 9, bang, tripped over. Yep. And that's all you need to do. You only need to do it once. And the same for the Dogs. If they win the next three, well, that'll be 8 in a row. That's the banana skin for me.
So you're planning a loss.
Look, he's got them up. He's got them up. They're playing really good, solid football. As I said, their profile was similar to Fremantle's until the last couple of weeks. Is that they're scoring high and they're defending extremely well. They're hard to score against. Now they're going to have to do that today because Tilthorpe and Walker and Rankin back into the lineup. Adelaide are a better side, but you've got to take it away from them, as the Giants did a couple of weeks ago. You've got to take that crowd out of it and that 19th man, so to speak, and you've just got to make sure that your head's in the game. The last time they fronted up there, Shorty got absolutely ambushed to the max by Port Adelaide because we thought, Port Adelaide are on their knees, Kenny's going out the door. They just thought they needed to turn up. But he's got them on edge at the moment, so I think they win. But as I say, then you've got next week they've got North Melbourne. They should be winning that, and they've got Mars against GWS the last game. I'd prefer if they had one more game up their sleeve. where they could drop one, but they're going to have to just keep winning.
Crazy thing about it, if the Dogs were to lose and the Carlton were to win, Carlton would be above the Western Bulldogs on the ladder.
Yeah,
it's such a crazy season. It's made it so entertaining. That premiership market. What about this? With 2 weeks to go in the regular season, Brisbane now $4.50, so they're on the blow. As soon as you get to that premiership favourite spot, it's only a matter of time before you're on the blow. Sydney now $5, Giants at $6, Bulldogs at $6, Geelong after that win into $8. Port at $9. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides in single figures.
Wow.
Carlton 11, Freo 14. Then we're 41 Hawthorn, 150s for Essendon. But I can barely remember a more wide open premiership race. We've seen so much footy.
The AFL rap. Marty's on the money. I mean, but have a look. There's a banana skin here next week. Brisbane down at the MCG against Collingwood.
Yeah.
Collingwood are done.
Yep.
Yeah.
But who's to say? Who's to say that they don't get pants? Because I call it the sucker punches, Marty. We'll be right. We're playing Collingwood next MCG. Well, then they get caught again. So, take on that $4.50 on Brisbane. I mean, you want longer than that. You almost want 10s the field. That's what you want.
Hey, all right, we better get moving now. We need your Sunday saviour, Bradley.
Yes, I'm going for the doctor today. Don't worry about it. The Chuka Race 2, number 7. Mitchell's Town. So Sammy Mitchell's on fire today. He'll win with Hawthorn and they'll win this one as well for the Hayes boys. $3.10. Then we'll go to Wagga Race 2, number 1. Dressel, magnificent athlete, $4.40. And we'll come home with the Chuka Race 6, number 3. Kappa, 39, $2.40. So Mitchell's Town, 3.10. Race 2, number 7 at Chuka. Dressel, Race 2, number 1 at Wagga, $4.40, Marty. And a Chuka Race 6, number 3. Kappa, 39, $2.40. That's a lazy $32.73 for me and Ginger. Mix those three up there, Ginger, because I reckon 2 of the 3 will win at least, because they always do.
Yeah, she'll play the doubles. Don't make no mistake. Treble, doubles. She's all over it. Hey, you're here for Group 1 Morts, of course, Retrovision. They're shooting the lights out, Retrovision.
He's overseas, isn't he, mate? He's sunning himself like a frog on a rock, isn't he? Beside a lily pad. He's going fantastically well.
And Steve
standing
Sal,
above his weight.
What's
as
he
always.
Up to?
The nude nut. 1-800, 100. He can do things the banks can't.
Don't forget our man Frankie.
Don't forget Frankie Lee out there at Ross's Auctions on a Friday afternoon. I think there's a few Dockers fans who'll be wanting to buy a bottle of vino next Friday just to get themselves through the weekend, Shorty.
All the best, Bradley.
See you, boys.
Cheers, Brad.
Racing and sport from different angles. You're listening to The Aftermath on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Shorty, this is where, when you hop into your TARDIS and go somewhere today, it's either Calgary or Port Hedland. We're heading up to Port Hedland. It's Port Hedland Cup Day, sponsored by Tams. Nadia Bishop is saddling up Awesome Chatter, one of the big players in the Cup, and she joins us right now. Hi, Nadia.
Good morning, guys.
Nice to be catching up with you, Nadia, and we just spoke off air, and it's a picture-perfect day upcoming for Cup Day up there by the sounds.
Yeah, it's in the winter in Port Hedland. It's perfect one day and better the next.
Oh, that's a nice old wrap. And the form of Awesome Chatter heading into the Port Hedland probably matches that weather, because it's coming off a nice win in a 68-plus over the 2050. And then last time out, we saw it successful in the Roban Cup. So it heads into the Port Hedland Cup, aiming up at a winning hat-trick and in very good form. How's the horse been going in the build-up to today's Port Hedland Cup?
Yeah, we're really happy with him. He's probably in better order today than he was going into the race last week. He's got a really good constitution, and he's feeling really well. And
you've snuck old Shooter McGruddy up there to ride. Apparently he's already won. I think somebody said he's 2 from 2. 2 from 2 up in the Cup. I think. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So nice to have a good hoop on. It always fills you with a little bit more confidence.
Most definitely, and you've been based up there a little while now. Nadia, what took you up to the north of the state? How did you find yourself moving base up there, and how have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, my partner, obviously Christian Hawkins, he got a job up here through a mutual friend, Tori Morrissey, so we made the decision to head north and, do a few years up here, but, we sort of the original plan was to maybe have a little break from the horses, but it's always hard to do. So, we found ourselves back with a couple of horses each season up here.
And Nadia, how about training up there? How do you train the horses? What sort of You've got the track there at Port Hedland. Can you use the beach? What can you use up there to train the horses?
Yeah, we've used the race course a couple of times for gallops up here this season. The racetrack's in really good order this year, so we've been able to gallop there a little bit. But we probably mainly train from home. We've got some really good tracks at our home base. We've got like a sort of 2,000-metre track and a 1,800-metre track that we use, and then we've got sort of 3 beaches that we use on rotation. One's a sort of gallop beach and one's a recovery beach. And then I've got a dressage arena, so my horses always spend a bit of time in the arena. That's pretty important to me.
Gee whiz, it sounds like you've got a set up by Godolphin up there with all that available to you, Nadia.
Yeah,
so that's outstanding.
Actually, you have a lot of freedom with the horses up here.
Okay.
You're sort of not boxed into training them one way. You can really tailor their programs, and the horses never have to do the same thing, from one day to the next.
Keeps it fresh.
Them really fresh in their minds.
Yeah, that's great. That is great to have options as a trainer, and it sounds like it's really working nicely for Awesome Chatter. You head into today. This is obviously a great opportunity, and given that it's your hometown and how things have been working out, this would be a really nice race to win. I'm sure it'd be pretty special for you.
Definitely, yeah. We've had a bit of luck up here. We won the Broome Cup last year with Ella Feller, and we've won the sort of a few of the feature races around this place, but the Port Hedland Cup's the last one that we've yet to have success in. We've had a couple of place getters, but it would be really nice to win a cup today.
Okay, and you've also got Isola Bay going around in the last race in the famous Durant colours.
Yeah, Adam sent him up to us. The horse has gone good prior in Broome before, so I think he just thought of a bit of a winter break up north might suit him, and he went pretty good last start. We hope to see a bit of improvement in him today, and then he'll probably head to Broome.
Very nice. And you touched on Christian Hawkins, a fellow that's well known in the local industry here in Western Australia. How's everything going with the Hawk?
Yeah, really good. Yeah. No, we love doing the horses together. We've got a baby. She's 1.5, so we kind of juggle between looking after the baby, working the horses, and his shift work. So it's pretty intense.
Great to hear, Nadia. All the best in the Cup. Can you win it? Awesome Chatter.
Yeah, I think unless we're horribly unlucky, that he's a pretty good shot.
There you go. Good confidence. Thanks for coming on The Aftermath.
No worries.
Nadia Bishop. Troy Morrissey doing a terrific job up there with the club too. She mentioned Troy.
Excellent.
And they've got a big 8 eventer. I think they've got the super picks early, Shorty.
Yes, they have, Marty. Absolutely they have. And thanks to Nadia for coming on the show today. Yep. You can tell it's a real family setup there with the Hawk. Christian Hawkins, a ripper fellow. But, Marty, there's super pick wise today. You've got 2 on any races at Kalgoorlie. Port Hedland, 2 on any races you like there. And the Darwin Greys today, 7 there. Our man Bones Harmon joined us on the Jet Set podcast on Friday if you're looking for some tips there from Bonesy. Tune into that. And you've got a few to follow there at Winnelli Park. So the 2 local meetings and the Darwin Greys for the punters that can involve there. And just quickly wanted to touch, yesterday we were here in the studio and Alex Vlaus did a great job calling all the action there at Broome. But a couple of people I wanted to mention. Jess Gray had a wonderful time of it there. She's gone bingo, bango, bongo to kick off the day. Rode the first 3 races on the program, and Snaggers Sardelic, as Alex alluded to later on in the day there. A couple of winners with Dawn Retreat at $15, and then in the last with Vavinsky. There's a horse here, Marty, in the last. I heard an interview that you guys had on Friday afternoon with Darren Pateman. You don't miss much, do you, Short man? The 10-year-old. The now 10-year-old ombudsman, and he gave a very nice push for this horse, Ombudsman.
Place heavy.
And it was $51 at some point there. It was huge odds, and I tell you something, you might like to pop it into the black book because it was rattling to the line there on Friday afternoon in the Kimberley Cup. So a big thanks to Darren Pateman, and one worth jotting down for the punters heading forward.
Well, it goes to defend the Broome Cup. He threw that out, and we had Roy the night before. He threw out Hide the Oreos, would not have it getting beaten. So that was a banker. I know it was $1.80. And then Darren, who's been a star on Drive for us, he just said Dark City wins. It was $1.45.
Hasn't it been flying? Isn't it incredible, these horses, when they go up there, if they like it and they adapt to the dirt, they can just go on winning sprees.
I think they paid $5 or $7 grand for it.
Wow.
He bought it and put it in his wife's name. So he's scored some big points there.
I've been flying.
And it's just 1, 1, 1, 1. So, yeah, look, if you're betting in Broome and been listening to the programs here on Tab Radio yesterday, you ended up a long way in front.
Indeed.
Quick break. We're coming back with Steve with us next.
On the Aftermath, you are listening to Marty Young and David Shortte right here on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Gee, we've got a mile behind on the text here. I've got to get Lisa Vallenbrook up on the line here. Brad and the team, cracking games in a weekend of fourth quarter upsets. Tipster's nightmare, you tell me that, Lisa. All start on Friday night. Swans and Pies continued yesterday. The last game win to the Suns of the Siren. Bombers bad kicking goals, yeah. Well done to Scoey. Eagles back-to-back wins on the road. That was what you mentioned on the program, Shorty. There was a lot of said in the media about Gaffey being gifted his last 2 games, but it was a great running mark and kick into the goal square that enabled Allen to kick the winning goal. Who would have thought the mighty Eagles 2 weeks in a row fly the flag for WA? Guys, must win for the Doggies and Charlton today. And take care, enjoy your day. That is from Lisa Vallenbrook.
Good on you, Lisa.
A lot of time into her text, so we have to read them out, that is for sure. Well done, Lisa. Steve Withers, a very good morning.
Hey, boys, how you doing?
Going really well, thanks, Steve. Congratulations. You've got Uncle Tommy heading across to the Nationals to represent WA, but not by the traditional method. He had no luck in the WA Sprint Final at Northam on Thursday night, but by being the top-ranked Clubs Australia dog with his 2 Group 1 wins in recent times, you still get an opportunity to go across there and represent the state. That's something I'm sure you're looking forward to.
He's the ultimate average Joe, this guy, punching above his weight. The guy in the pub that we all like to admire.
I tell you something, he's got a couple of Group 1s, and you're right, we're always admiring anyone with 1 of those, let alone 2 of those. So took out the Perth Cup, went up to Queensland, delivered again. But one thing you've got to say about him, I think he's a touch better than your average, because when big races are on, he seems to be able to rise to the occasion. This is an opportunity for a 3rd Group 1. That'd be something pretty incredible.
He's got wonderful habits. He's a great race dog. He's super chaser and great decision maker. And yeah, to try and emulate his dad and get over there and travel again, he's doing a good job.
Well, that's the one thing that you've got in your favour as well. He has travelled and handled himself really well and adapted to the new conditions of a new environment very quickly. Is that what's the travel plans looking like for across there in South Australia for the Nationals upcoming?
Yeah, well, you've got to get over and give yourself a look at the track and give yourself your best chance. Obviously, it's a Group 1 and a tough race and good dogs, so you don't want to leave any stone unturned. So he'll head over there next week and we'll settle in and try and get used to the local environment and the weather and the accents that he'll talk with over there, and have a trial around the track and start an aim towards next Saturday night.
Now, the final field itself, you come up against some good quality opposition. We had all of the different state finals taking place on Thursday night all around the place, but I'm pretty sure if Uncle Tommy can front up and race to his best that we've seen, he can really measure up. What sort of box draw would you like for Uncle Tommy in the national final?
You'd love to be on the inside. Love to be somewhere where he can get his first 2 or 3 strides down on the ground, because he's got really good leg speed if he gets left alone. So, inside's always better, but second option, just somewhere with a bit of clean room either side of us to put our power to the floor.
Absolutely, and of course we also got to see a really nice performance from Weston Booney in taking out the distance championship. First run at the track there, and a really, really impressive performance. It's always hard to win first up on another track, but I guess the link that I wanted to allude to here is, of course, that Weston Booney is the son of Tommy Shelby. So you've got Uncle Tommy and also Weston Booney, 2 sons of Tommy Shelby, representing WA in a national sprint and distance championship. Again, it's just an incredible example of the versatility that he's shown at stud and how he can produce these top liners.
Yeah, look, it's great to see Booney go over there, and not like we need any encouragement to be parochial, but just gives us that little bit more skin in the game, I suppose, to be right there on finals night and have another representative that we're really attached to.
Yes.
Tommy's going great. Yeah.
Steve, I need to bring you into this because we've only got 90 seconds and we need to address this text here with Shorty. Hey, Shorty, how's
Done some
about...
of my best work in 90 seconds.
Yeah. I know what you mean. How's about stop making excuses about Freo and show some respect to the Cats? Typical Freo supporter. Huge win by the Cats to come to Perth and win. That's from Brett of Calgary. He's giving you one back.
Good on you, Brett. Yeah, you enjoy the win from the Cats, mate. No problem at all. That's a good one. That's a good one. They deserve all the credit they get. And Jezza Cameron on his 250th. Great footballer. Love him a lot. But, I'm not discrediting Geelong. Just disappointed that Freo didn't have their full side out on the park.
Stevie, who do you barrack for?
I'm a Lions supporter, so, we missed opportunity, I think, is the story of this morning, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. It's a spooky
Had
sort of...
their chances and,
Couldn't quite cash in front of the big sticks. It were bad kickings, bad football, as they say. But, hey, anything's possible this season. And I love, as much as it's killing me as a supporter, I'm loving it. It's the great unknown, and it's what keeps us coming back for more the next week. And I guess opportunity is what all life's all about. Uncle Tommy's going to have one of those, Stevie. We'll all be getting around Uncle Tommy, of course, in the National Sprint Final. Thanks so much for taking some time to join us this morning on the Aftermath, and go the Uncle there across in South Australia at Angle Park for the Nationals.
We'll do our best, guys. Have a good morning.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Shorty.
Thank you, Marty. All the best.